How old were you when you decided that you wanted to write full time? Today I'm going to talk with Abby Patrick. She's in her early 20s and she started writing in her late teens and is now published over 6 books. And we had time to catch up at the self-publishing show in London. First off, let me just say, great show. Thank you, James, Blatch, and Catherine for putting on such an amazing show. I know how much work goes into putting on an event. You guys did a great job. And like any live event, what happens is you meet people. Like that's the beauty of an in real life event is who you connect with and how it can change the trajectory, not just of your career, but of maybe the whole industry. And I think this is, while it might seem weird, is one of those cases where me hearing this story has really inspired me to think about what Author Nation can do for young authors and how we can support them in the future. And we're putting together some things around that. But if you're a young author and you're trying to figure out how you navigate this world and how to get your books into the hands of readers, this is going to be a great episode. It ties into the other episode with her father, Simon Patrick, where he talked about how he supported Abby in her process. It was really a collaborative effort where he became kind of the publisher for her. But now she's in a place where she's going to be sharing some pretty interesting things around how not only has she done books and gotten them published, she is earning money as a narrator. And she is also just got done working on screenplays for live performances. Hey, it's Joe Solari with Author Nation, and we're still here at SPS Live in London, and we've got an interview today with Abby Patrick. How you doing, Abby?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited. It's the second day of the conference, so I've got to know lots of new people, and it's lovely checking in with everyone.
But now you're a seasoned pro of these conferences. You've been to how many?
3. This is my third. My dad's been here since the beginning, so I've heard about them since day one. But this is my 3rd year, and I do their social media, and I love it. I learn so much every single year, but it also reminds me that you're not alone doing this career, because it can feel like you are when you're sat in your room writing your books. You don't often get to interact with readers and other writers, and it just connects you to everyone. And so I find them really, really special.
So why don't you tell folks a little bit about like how you got into this and your genre and what you write?
So how did I get into this? I always enjoyed creative writing, but it wasn't until I took my English literature GCSE that I realized I was quite good, because I got an A star. And it made me start thinking about the skill of writing. And then I came up with a dystopian fantasy story idea one night, wrote it down, and then decided every Friday evening I would write it. And it quickly overtook my life. And I went to my parents and I said, I've got this story idea that I think could be a book.
And what age was this?
I was 15.
Okay.
And my mum said, write it. She was my English teacher because I was homeschooled. And she said, brilliant, we're going to give you more time in lessons to explore this idea. And then I kept writing, but I didn't think I'd be a writer. So I went to college for a term to study early years, which is working in a nursery with kids. And it wasn't a very good experience. The teaching wasn't very good, and I found myself sat in class writing. And all I wanted to do while I was there was get back to my book. And by then, I'd been writing for like 2.5 years on this book, and I knew it was almost done. And I really wanted to finish it. And my dad had said, when I talked to him about writing a book, if you write it, we will publish it. So that's when he went to the first self-publishing show to learn those steps. But I still needed a finished book for him to be able to help with that. So that's a really important step I'm learning. So I left college. My parents heard my frustrations with the teaching, and they said, step out, give it a go, and we'll see what happens. And then 6 months later, I published my first book at 17.
Wow.
which was an amazing experience. And I owe so much to that book and that idea. And then 3 months later, I published my first non-fiction book, which was about the book community on Instagram and how to work with publishers, because that's the big thing I do. I have a Instagram with 10,000 followers that I have had since I was a younger teenager, and it was an amazing place to connect to other people who loved books. And then I slowly converted it to talk about writing and my books. So I wrote a book about how to do that and how to work with publishers. And then 3 months after that, I published the sequel to my first fiction book. And so I was on a roll. And I absolutely loved it, because when you're 17, 18, you have this extra time. I didn't have the pressures of bills and a family to support. I was able to write without the worry of this needs to make me money, it needs to make my career right now. And my dad always talks about like a pie shop. If you go into a pie shop and they only sell one type of pie, that isn't really your taste. You're going to leave. If that pie shop has 20 pies, there's got to be something you want. And so that really stuck with me, and I kept thinking, I need to keep making these pies. I need to keep making these books. So when I was finished with that series, I was like, cool, on to the next. So I started writing the series I'm most proud of and still working on, which is My Deadly Ever After. So that is a series of retellings. So the first is a Snow White, the second is a Robin Hood, and the third, which I'm writing at the moment, is a Rapunzel. And this is the series that really has my heart. But I still enjoy writing nonfiction. I rewrote the SPS Instagram for Authors book, which was an incredible experience for someone to come to you and say, we want to pay you to write. That was just, it was something that you always dream about, and I often forget. When my writing doesn't make as much money as other people that stand up on the SBS stage and say, I make so many figures, it's crazy. I remember that actually someone valued my work enough to pay me for it. And I have readers come to me and they loved my work. And it may not be thousands of readers, but the fact that my writing has made a difference and impacted someone emotionally and has stuck with them and just affected them in that moment, that means the world. It means absolutely everything to me, and that is why I love writing. So I've published 6 books at the moment. I've also written and directed 2 plays in London, which is why my publishing journey slowed down a bit. But I've turned my latest murder mystery play into a book, which is coming out in August. And I just want to keep the ball rolling. I slowed down a bit to do the plays, but now I'm ready to keep writing and to treat it as a full-time career. And I want to see what I can make out of it.
So at your age, how old are you now?
I'm 22 now.
22. You're at the fringe of the demographics of the writing community, right? Last year at Author Nation, Maggie Beeler was a young author. I think she's around the same age now. So there's not a lot of young folks that you see. There may be a lot that are out there writing, but you don't see them at this level where they're in these events learning. And so tell me a little bit about how you find the community and how the community could better serve somebody like you.
I think money becomes the biggest issue for getting into places like SBS, because while it is a really affordable thing for adults, when you don't have a source of income, which a lot of younger people don't, how can you be here? So I think making it accessible to people who are younger by bringing a different, lower price point for them would be the first step, because there are so many writers out there. Being part of the book community, when I announced I was first writing my book, I had so many people come to me and say, I'm writing a book, but I'm the only one out of them who's published, because there are so many barriers in the way, and money is one of the biggest. The other one is support. And if you don't have your family support and you don't have them, having your back like I did, then you need other people too.
Yeah.
And that's why older authors getting involved and being a mentor can help so much. I had a self-published author who believed in my first work, and she became my editor, and she did it for free. And without her, I don't think I could have published my first book. So it's about people who know what they're doing, stepping in and saying, hey, I've been on this journey too. I'm 10 years later, but let me help you. And it's really about listening and being okay with offering your time and support to younger people, because they do want to do it. There aren't really anyone, there's no one here my age.
Yeah.
But there are so many people my age who want to be here, who want this experience. Being somewhere like this would change the game, because I come here and I realize I'm not alone in my writing.
Yeah.
I still feel alone in my age of writing, and I hope that will change one day. But to have other people here, you realize it's a community. I've made connections that could help my next books, and they are missing out on that. I think, so money is a big issue, support is a big issue, but there's also so many amazing things about being a young writer. You have more time. Like I said, I was able to write so much in so little time because I had nothing else on. It was my life. It replaced the hours I worked in school, and I wrote instead. And I didn't have a job to fulfill. I didn't have a family to support. And using that time to learn the craft, so now I can just keep writing because I know what I'm doing, and not being afraid of having a first book go badly. I think so. I know a few people who are writing books at the moment, but they've been writing books for 5+ years, and they are my age, so that's a long time in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And they just take so long with it. They want it to be perfect. My first book was not perfect by any means. It was a good, solid first book, and the second was better, and then the third was better. And it just keeps going. And every single thing I write gets better because I've done it before. But if you get stuck on that first one, I learned so much in those last few months of publishing that if I'd stopped when the book was done, I would have never learnt those steps. And it's really important you see it through, and it's really important you let go of that barrier of it needs to be big. My first book needs to get all the reviews, it needs to get all the attention. It really does not. You just need to do it.
No, and in fact, when you look at truly how the publishing works, it takes time to build an audience, right? Like they need to have the book, they need to read the book, they need to then think, I would like to read the next book, right? And that's where you see a lot of folks not continue on, right? Because they expected the first one to be big.
And then they're disappointed.
Yeah, the thing you made me think about was, you look at Picasso, and when you go back, he started very young. He was in his teens when he started. He was very prolific. And had that commitment to his work where, people look back and say, oh, he had the life of a starving artist. It's like he had a vocation and he was going to do everything he could to paint, to the point of they know he overpainted works, right? Like he could only afford so many canvases.
Yeah.
So he would overpaint on them just to do the next work. That got him to the point where he's Picasso. Like he's a super big deal, but people don't think about 50,000 works, they think about the 10 or the 100 where the masterpiece.
And
right?
if he'd given up, he would have never got there. Yeah.
Right. And he was in a position where he focused on that vocation, right? Doing the work, collaborating with other authors, a little bit of competition, supporting each other as well. I can understand that from your perspective, and I don't know how that will change over time, because I do think, at least in American society, there's a very big focus on, the path is this, right? Even if you are going to be an author, what you should do is you should go get your English Lit degree or your creative writing degree, not just go write books.
I disagree with that.
So talk about that.
I think you lose the passion so quickly when you follow that path. I've seen it on so many different authors' careers, and And it's really sad. And I think the reason being a young writer is so exciting is you are excited. Everything's new, everything's fresh. My first book technically is not perfect. Passion-wise, it's beautiful. And people still read it today and they say, I was so emotionally invested because you were. It means so much more when you're younger. The first things you do are so special to you, even if they're not perfect. And I see so many people get stuck at every single step. And it's actually like when you're in control of the steps, you're not going to stop. I did my first cover with my dad by ourselves. It wasn't beautiful, but it was something, and it made the book be able to be on people's shelves, which is the coolest thing. If you wait for a publisher to pick you up, to get an agent first, to go through all those steps, you're going to get stuck a lot of the time. I didn't wait for someone else to tell me I could do it. I just did it.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I think that, even if you do it wrong, there's momentum.
You're still doing it.
Yeah.
I don't mind if my first book's not perfect. I don't care if the books I write right now are not perfect. They are passionate and I love them. And so other people do. And I see that back. I'm not doing this job for the money. I'm doing it because I want to share my work. And that's really apparent. And so I'm going to keep doing that. And I find it really sad when I see my friends and people in the book community stop writing because someone told them no. Because nowadays there's so many ways around it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. The act of doing that first book, like you made it clear that there's things that could have been better, but like one of the things I've observed is you learn so much on that first book and getting it done, and it's like now you know how hard it is, but you also know what needs to be done, and it gets easier. That makes sense for this number 2 and number 3.
It does.
So if you can kind of talk, like, what was the big lessons that you got out of getting through that first book?
I learned I need to plan the book because it came from an idea, and it was going to be a short story that I wrote one Friday afternoon and then put aside forever. But I became so attached to it, I needed to tell more of the story. But I discovered the story as I was writing. So my world wasn't very set. I didn't have any technique. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on technique, and they really helped at the beginning. But my world building was not strong. My characters grew as I did. And this is something that happened with my most recent book as well. Because it took so long, because I was doing the plays, every time I came back to it, I needed to elevate it to the level I was at again. And so with the first book especially, I got stuck because every single time I finished editing a draft, I would improve. And so I'd go back, and that wouldn't be the same level the beginning as the end. And so it was constantly trying to push it all up to the same level, but I kept getting better because it's also a time in your life where you are learning quickly. I came right out of school, so my brain was so ready to learn. But I think it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was really exciting. So planning books ahead is something I learnt. Finding a community, I was very lucky to have that already with the book community, but having people who love writing and reading support you changes the game. It holds you accountable, and it meant I could never give up because I would let down so many people. I'd let down myself, but I had readers say, when's your book ready?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, I haven't done anything in a week.
Yeah.
And then you have to. So having a community is really important. Not being a perfectionist, because it will never be perfect. So the cover wasn't perfect, but it's what I could do. And just knowing you have these limitations on you now, but in the future you don't. So I'm going to go back and probably re-edit my first book, just to bring it up to that level that I would like, so I can show it around. And that's okay. And I might redo the cover one day if I fancy. And you have that freedom. When a book is, especially when you self-publish, it's not the end of that book's journey. I feel like with traditional publishing it is, because it's kind of then out of your hands.
Yeah, it's hard for them because they're running so many books portfolio. It's like
They don't
we gave you your 9 months on your book.
Yeah.
Now we're on to somebody else's book.
Exactly. But your books will always be yours and they will always stick with you. So the fact that I have the power to do that and the control was always really important. Editors are important. There are so many ways to do that now. So have as many people as you can read your book, but it's okay to be learning by yourself. I was homeschooled, and so I had an amazing teacher who was my mum, but we did a lot of online work. So I was learning through a screen, and there are so many courses you can do that. SBS has many. You can do that now. Everything is just at the touch of a button. Use that. You don't have to go to uni and study all these books. You can study yourself. And I found that really important. I figured out what kind of writer I was by the books I read. So I read a lot of character-centered books, and so for me, when I was writing, I focused on the characters and their journey, because the books that I was reading and loving were the same. And so the readers that I was connecting to online about the books we loved also loved my book, because they had a similar feel. But the more I read, the better my writing got. So you need to be in this world of books, and it's opened up so many different doors being a part of the book community and being a writer. I rewrote the SBS Instagram for Authors book. I work with publishers now to promote new book releases. I do all these amazing things that came out of my love of books, and you can make your hobbies into careers. You've got to be careful, because you might lose your passion, but if you truly love something, being able to do it and earn money is one of the best experiences.
Yeah. I think that that's one of the things that is understanding that how that changes is important, because it doesn't get easier, right? I know quite a few people that are very successful, and then the pressure that then comes with that, right? It's like, well, now there's even more people that get disappointed when a book doesn't come out, or people don't think about that. They think about, oh, I'd like to have that money. And it's like, oh, well, now you have a bigger business that a lot of people are depending on, even if it's just depending on the product coming out. And having it where, they kind of want you to do the same thing over and over. Same but different.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that wasn't a question. Just kind of helping you think through that. So, seeing where things are at now, where would you like to see your career go, and what is it that you're hopeful for with, kind of the freedom that you have as having your own business, your early stages, you got some great support. Where are you looking for this all to go?
I'd just like to keep going and see where it takes me. I don't have career goals. This is going to sound very cringy, but my goal in life is to be happy. And right now, books make me very, very happy. And I'm very lucky to be able to do that. And so that is where my mind goes when I think of the future. I would like to write more books that make other people happy. I would like to carry on doing something I love and writing stories I love. I don't think I could ever write a book that someone told me to if I wasn't passionate about it. I want to jump genres. I want to see what resonates with people. I would like to build an audience of readers that I can connect to, because writing can be so disconnected from the real world when you throw yourself into fictional worlds. I would like to get better at finding more community, and I think being here at SBS reminds me of that. I'm not alone. There's so many people on this journey. I would like to publish books at a quicker rate. Like I said, I slowed down for a bit to do the plays, but actually I have so many stories I want to tell. I want to get them out. I'd like to sell more, but only because I want to find more readers. I really do. I want to then be able to make special editions for my readers and audiobooks for my readers, and that is the kind of author I want to be. I want people to be excited when I say I've got a new book to release. And when you have a smaller community, you know them all, and it's so lovely. But I would love more of that.
Well, let's talk about that before we wrap up. How are you connecting with your readers? Is it all social media? Is it email? As a younger person, how are you coming at your marketing? And in that, do you have any feel for the demographics of your audience?
My demographic is me,
Okay.
because I have a book account, which I've had for many years, and it's gone through many different phases. But right now, it's about reading and writing. And so the kind of books that I talk about are the books that I read. And so I find readers who love the same genres as me, and then I write books in those genres. So I'm able to say, hey, here's all these books I suggested to you and you read. I've also got one that's very similar that I wrote. You should check it out. So my audience is me. It's fantasy readers, it's young adults, it's people who love retellings and dark, twisted tales. So I purely use Instagram.
Okay.
I have 10,000 followers over there. I have 2,000 on TikTok. And this conference has really challenged me to get back on TikTok and really start using it, because I use it as a consumer, but I need to start using it as a business. I do not have a mailing list. I need to, but I have signed up for 2 mailing lists ever. And I follow like 50 plus authors on Instagram. So for me, it's about finding an audience that uses the same platforms that I do in a similar way, and I haven't found that many people that I know would want a mailing list. I've never been asked for one. Instagram is where I'm most comfortable, social media is as well. So I think I need to try new ways to connect to readers. But for now, Instagram and it will be TikTok are my main ways to connect to people.
Well, why don't you tell people a little bit about your handles and how they can find you and what books are coming, and if you got any new books coming out that they need to know about?
Absolutely. Stolen Legacy, which is my Robin Hood retelling, which is the second book in the Deadly Ever After series that I've written, has just come out like last week, which was very exciting. That is a part of the series, but it can be read as a standalone. And I'm very, very proud of this series. I really want to explore the world even more. I've had quite a few ideas while I've been here, and I'm very excited to work on them. I also have a murder mystery book coming out in August called Death's Veiled Agenda. It is the play that I put on in London last summer, turned into a book. So it was very exciting to adapt something that was a completely different format into a book and see where the gaps became, because when you can't see something in front of you like you can with a play, it opens so many different doors, and I was very excited to work on that. So that's out in August. My handles are my author name, which is Abby Hope Patrick, ABBY, and I have that on TikTok, and I have Instagram, and I also have a website, abbypatrick.com, which I am starting to try and use more.
All right. Well, it's great to have you on the show, and hopefully we'll see you in Las Vegas.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye.